Hi everyone, Liz Holterhouse, OBX for Sale Real Estate Group, powered by Keller Williams, coming to you today with episode 9 of Building Wealth Through Homeownership. And today is the day. Today is the closing day. So, welcome back to Building Wealth Through Homeownership. I am Liz, your real estate expert here on the Outer Banks, and we've made it all the way to episode 9. And that means you're just about ready to get the keys to your new home. Today, we're going to talk about what to expect on our final walkthrough and closing day, the last 2 steps before you become an official homeowner. So let's start with the final walkthrough. Depending on when your signing of your loan documents are, we will do the walkthrough either just before or just after. Just before is ideally the best time. Sometimes we can do it even the day before. This is not an inspection, but this is a chance to look at the property again, make sure it's in the same general condition as the last time you saw it. More importantly, when you put it under contract, this is to make sure that any agreed upon repairs were completed, or if the home is being sold furnished or partially furnished, or was supposed to include an extra refrigerator, things like that. We're going to want to make sure those items are still in place after the homeowner has moved out. We're going to check the properties in the same general condition as when you made the offer, and like I said, ensure that nothing's been removed that was supposed to stay, like an appliance, a stove, a refrigerator, a washer, a dryer, those types of things. If any of that stuff is missing, this is the only chance we would get to negotiate those items either be put back into place or for you to get a credit. So it's very important for us to do this walkthrough. This doesn't happen often, but you don't want it to happen and then you have to go out and buy a refrigerator immediately upon closing. So basically, we're going to go through a final walkthrough checklist. We're going to turn lights on, appliances, faucets, flush the toilets, check the plumbing, especially if it's cold. Make sure the no frozen pipes, things like that. If it's cold outside, we're going to make sure the heat is operating. If it's hot outside, we're going to make sure the AC is operating properly. And we're going to look for signs of damage on move out or any items left behind. I have had homes where the seller has moved out and left everything that they didn't want. Just trash in the garage, trash in the house, just things that the new homeowner is not going to want either. And you just shouldn't be burdened by the removal of those items. So anything like that, we are going to look for, and then we're going to negotiate with the attorney and let them know what's going on and what we need to have done. Sometimes this could result in a delay in closing on your part because, once you're closed, it constitutes acceptance. So if we haven't come to an agreement with the seller, you might experience a delay where maybe you've signed your papers, but nothing's going to be recorded until they respond. I always do a walkthrough with my clients so we can catch any issues before we sign the final paperwork. And more importantly, if for some reason you're not coming to closing, and this is common, you may close by mail, especially if you're relocating to the area, that kind of thing, I will go in and do the final walkthrough for you. So now let's talk about closing day. This is when everything becomes official, and here's what happens on closing day. You're going to enter the attorney's office and you're going to meet with the attorney or the paralegal and you're going to sit down and review and sign your loan documents and the final disclosure statement. Remember, the final disclosure statement you have already received in a draft form probably 2, 3, 4, or 5 days ago, and maybe many drafts as we corrected things or put things on there or adjusted costs, things like that. So this is where we're going to do one last look and make sure all of the monies is correct. All the things you're being charged for, all your credits are there, things like that. We want to make sure all of that is on the closing disclosure. The lender is going to send the funds to your closing attorney for closing. And then once you have signed and the attorney has met all the lender's requirements, they've received the wire for your loan proceeds, you have either brought a check in or wired your funds to the attorney's office. They're going to communicate with the selling side, and then they're going to get together, and if they need to exchange documents, that type of thing, they will. And then the title is transferred into your name and recorded with the county in which you're purchasing property in. Now, with technology the way it is, this used to be a very slow process. This happened at the end of the day, usually at 4:59 when everyone met at some predetermined place, exchanged money for a deed. Then your attorney would go to the Register of Deeds of the county in which you're purchasing in and record your deed. And this would always happen at the end of the day. Now we are able to e-record in most counties. So as soon as you leave, usually within an hour or two, maybe 3, your deed is recorded and we hand you the keys and you're officially a homeowner. So it doesn't take as long to get the keys, but keep in mind, you are not the official owner until the deed is recorded. So unless we've worked out an agreement with the seller in advance, you cannot have the keys, you cannot access the property until the deed is recorded, because that constitutes closing in the state of North Carolina. This is my favorite part, is seeing the smiles and celebrating with you as you step into that new chapter in such a rewarding moment. A few other things, pro tips for a smooth closing day to think about. You are going to need a valid photo ID. The attorney will collect that to make sure you're who you say you are, and the lender requires this. You're going to review your closing disclosure in advance, like we talked about, and then you'll see it again at the closing table. And we've talked about this many times through this process, but let's say you were given your clear to close 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, but we're not yet closed. You still cannot make any big financial moves until after your deed is recorded and I hand you those keys. If you go out and buy a new car or go out and put new appliances on a new Home Depot card, it can and more than likely will hold up your closing, and it could keep you from qualifying for the loan, and the lender will pull it. So it is very important, it is critically important that you do nothing to take on new debt, new accounts, apply for new accounts, buy a new car, buy anything that is going to show up on your credit report anytime once you've gone under contract or applied for your loan, actually. So if you applied for a pre-qualification in January, we went under contract in March and we're closing in April. From that January date till April closing, you cannot do anything that's going to affect your credit score or your debt ratio or any of those things. And if in doubt, you need to ask me, and I can assure you the answer is always going to be no. Just wait. It's not worth the discount you get on new appliances and things like that. You can always do it right after closing. The last thing we need to talk about that is confirm wire transfer instructions directly with your attorney. Do not email them. If you've already confirmed them once and you get an email saying, oh, we have new wiring instructions, we need you to wire your funds to this account, that is probably a fraud scam, and you need to ignore it. Pick up the phone, call your attorney and say, hey, I got this email that says you have a new account. I need to confirm where I am wiring this money. Guys, wire fraud is a real thing. At the bottom of every email you will get from me, the attorney, the lender, there is in red writing, a huge warning about wire fraud. You want to make sure you know where you're wiring that money to. So only speak over the phone to the paralegal or the attorney to get wiring instructions, and don't ever take an email change for wiring instructions at face value. pick up the phone, call the attorney again, and reconfirm. It is very important. Once your bank pushes the button to wire that money, it's gone, and it is very hard to recapture that money. People lose a lot of money every single year through wire fraud. So I know that's a Debbie Downer there, but we need to make sure that you're well aware of that. Also, closing appointments can take about an hour, so plan accordingly. Once the documents are signed and the funds are transferred and the deed is recorded, you're officially a homeowner. The final walkthrough and closing day are your last steps, and some of the most exciting. You've come a long way at this point, and remember, I'll be right there with you the whole way to make everything go smoothly. In our final episode, we're going to talk about your first year as a homeowner, including tips for maintenance, budgeting, and maximizing your investment. You won't want to miss it. And congratulations on taking the first step into building wealth through a homeownership. In that last series that we just talked about, we're going to talk about how every improvement and every bit of maintenance is protecting your asset and protecting your savings account and protecting your wealth. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell, and please share it with anybody that you think might find this content helpful. If you've got questions about your closing or home buying journey, my contact information is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the final episode.